Your screen visible, students? Screen is visible? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay, right. In the last class, we stopped at refraction of d bar at the boundary. We have derived the equation for refraction of d bar at the boundary, and we have got the equation as the equation is for d2, that is electric flux density in the second media. It is equal to d1 into square root of cos square theta 1 plus epsilon 2 by epsilon 1 the square sine square theta 1, and e2 is equal to e1 into square root of sine square theta 1 plus epsilon 1 by epsilon 2 square cos square theta 1. These are the two important derivations, equations that we derived in the previous class. Let us solve an example on this, whatever we have discussed in the previous class. Based on that, we will be solving an example. Note down this example, students. At the boundary between glass, that is epsilon r is equal to 4, and air, the lines of electric field make an angle of 40 degree with normal to the boundary. If electric flux density in the air is 0.25 microcoulomb per meter cube, determine the orientation and magnitude of electric flux density in the glass medium. Note down the example and the figure. Here this epsilon r value is 4. Epsilon r is equal to 4 it is. Noted, students?
So 1 minute, sir.
Okay, take time. Taken?
Yes.
Okay. So read the question. At the boundary between glass, there is a glass medium. Okay, its a relative permittivity is 4, epsilon R2 is equal to 4 we have taken, and air. Okay, there is a boundary between glass and air. On one side there is glass with permittivity 4, epsilon R is equal to 4. Another side there is air medium, and we know that relative permittivity of the air is 1. Okay, the lines of electric field make an angle of 40 degree with normal to the boundary. That means the lines of electric field, the lines of electric flux density, this is making an angle of 40 degree with the normal. This is the normal, dn1 equal to dn2, that we discussed in the derivation that we did last time. Correct? This is the normal component dn1, this is a tangential component d tan 1, and the electric field intensity which is passing from one medium to another medium is making an angle of 40 degree with the normal. If electric flux density in the air is 0.25 microcoulomb per meter cube, they have given the value of d1, that is electric flux density in air medium is given, that is 0.25 microcoulomb per meter cube. If so, find the orientation and magnitude of electric flux density in the glass medium. We have to find the orientation, that is angle theta 2 should be determined with respect to the bound normal, and magnitude of electric flux density. What is the value of d2 flux density in the glass medium? These two should be found out here. So we have to solve the boundary conditions such that we will be able to determine the values of d2 and theta 2. Correct? We have already discussed the boundary condition between two media in the last class. This is the boundary condition that is between the glass medium and the air. One is the, that is here it is glass medium, another one is between the dielectric and the air medium. Okay, so we have discussed this derivation in our previous discussions. That is a boundary between that is conductor and the free space, conductor and the free space. Okay, so this is the condition, that is one is the conductor medium, another one is the free space. If so, we have to find out the angle theta 2 and d2. Okay, so d1 and e1 are same because we know that d is equal to epsilon e, therefore we are taking d1 comma e1, the same, both are overlapping because d is equal to epsilon times e, the directions will be same. Okay, here also we are taking d2 comma e2, and this is the boundary. For the boundary between two dielectrics, sorry, this is a dielectric medium, glass is a dielectric medium, air here also it is a dielectric medium because we are taking air as a dielectric. Okay, so it is a boundary between two dielectrics, not the boundary between conductor and, because glass is a insulator. Correct? Yeah, glass is an insulator, so it's a insulator or the dielectric, and air is also an insulator. So we are considering the boundary between two dielectrics here, between glass and the air medium, not the boundary between conductor and free space. So for this, we know the condition we have derived in the last class, dn1 equal to dn2, dn1 equal to dn2, that was the derivation that we have done. Here I can just check, this is the derivation between two dielectrics, dn1 equal to dn2. Correct? And also one more equation is en1 by en2 equal to epsilon 2 by epsilon 1. Okay, let us use these equations. So dn1 equal to dn2 and en1 by en2 is equal to epsilon 2 by epsilon 1. But here they have given the value of d1. How much is d1? Flux density in air, it is 0.25 microcoulomb per meter cube. 0.25 microcoulomb per meter cube is value of d1. Substitute that. So d1 is 0.25 microcoulomb per meter square. This should be substituted in the equation for cos theta 1. Find out cos theta 1. Theta 1 is adjacent side by hypotenuse. Adjacent side is dn1, hypotenuse is d1. So cos of 40 degree is equal to dn1 by d1. Cos of theta, that is cos 40 degree, it is dn1 by d1. Okay, dn1 by d1. Adjacent side is dn1, hypotenuse is d1. Write it. Cos theta, that is cos 40 degrees, is equal to dn1 by d1. d1 we know it is 0.25. Solve it and get the value of dn1. Do it, students. First note down these equations. dn1 equal to dn2 and en1 by en2 is equal to epsilon 2 by epsilon 1. Up till here you note down and find the value of dn1. Tell me, students, how much you are getting dn1 value. dn1 how much you are getting? Cos 40 degree is equal to dn1 by 0.25. What is the value of dn1?
So 0.1915.
Yes, 0.1915 into 10 raised to how much? 10 raised to minus 6. Yes, dn1 is equal to 0.1915 at microcoulomb per meter square. Yes or no? Because here they have given 0.25. This is 0.25 is microcoulomb per meter cube. Okay, please make a note of it. Here it is microcoulomb per meter cube. 0.25 into 10 raised to minus 6. That is missing here. Make a note of it. So dn1 will be equal to cos 40 into 0.25 into 10 raised to minus 6. This will be 0.1915 microcoulomb per meter square. We know dn1 equal to dn2. dn2 is equal to dn1. So this is also equal to 0.1915 microcoulomb per meter square. We know dn1, dn2 will be equal to dn1 according to the derivation, and hence dn2 is also equal to the same value as that of dn1. Next we have to find out d1. d1 is here. We have to consider the Pythagoras theorem here. If we apply Pythagoras theorem to this right angle triangle, d1 square is equal to d tan 1 square plus dn1 square. d1 square is equal to d tan 1 square plus dn1 square. Accordingly, you substitute the values of dn1, okay, and then value of d1 and find out d tan 1. You have to apply the Pythagoras theorem. What is the Pythagoras theorem? That is d1 square is equal to d tan 1 square plus dn1 square. Opposite side square is equal, hypotenuse square is equal to square of the opposite side plus square of the adjacent side. If so, find the value of d tan 1. What is the value? D tan 1. How much you are getting?
Sir, doing
Anybody got the answer? Yes, friends. Anybody got the answer? D tan 1. Answer how much?
sir 0.1607.
Correct. 0.1607 microcoulomb per meter square. You should not leave that microcoulomb per meter square. Otherwise, your
Okay, sir.
answer will not be complete. Please take care of that. 0.1607 microcoulomb per meter square. Okay. Right. Next, we'll go for the next step. Once we found out the value of D tan 1, then using this equation, we have also got this equation D tan 1 by D tan 2 is equal to epsilon 1 by epsilon 2, that is equal to epsilon R1 by epsilon R2. Okay. So let us go back and see that equation. D tan 1, here it is. D tan 1 by D tan 2 is equal to epsilon 1 by epsilon 2. Further, epsilon 1 by epsilon 2 is equal to epsilon R1 by epsilon R2. This equation. That is according to the, that is what we have derived for refraction of D bar at the boundary. And here also we have got, when we are discussing about the boundary conditions between perfect dielectrics. D tan 1 by D tan 2 is equal to epsilon 1 by epsilon 2, that is equal to epsilon R1 by epsilon R2. Okay. Write it. Write the equation. D tan 2. Rearrange the equation for D tan 2, because what they have asked here, they have asked the value of D2. You can find the value of D2 provided you know the value of dn2 and D tan 2. According to the Pythagoras theorem, we can apply D2 is square is equal to dn2 square plus D tan 2 square. Or by using the cosine of angle theta, we can also find the value of D2. Okay. So there are many ways. Let us see which will be suited here. So D tan 2 is equal to, rearrange the terms, it will be epsilon R2 by epsilon R1 into D tan 1. D tan 2 is equal to epsilon R2 by epsilon R1 into D tan 1. Once I get this equation, then substitute the values of epsilon R2, epsilon R1 and D tan 1. How much is epsilon R2? Epsilon R2 is how much? 4. Glass medium permittivity is 4. Epsilon R1, air medium permittivity is 1. Epsilon R2 by epsilon R1 into D tan 1. D tan 1 is 0.1607 microcoulomb per meter square. Correct? Substitute and tell me the value of D tan 2. Value of D tan 2. Tangential component in the second medium, it is D tan 2. Dn means it is normal component. D tan means it is tangential component. We are resolving the electric flux density into two components. One is tangential component, another one is the normal component.
Sir, 0.64 into 10 raised to minus 6.
Exactly. D tan 2 is equal to 0.6428 into 10 raised to minus 6 coulomb per meter square. Correct. Okay. Everybody getting that answer? What about other students?
Yes, sir,
Getting
getting.
the difficulties? Sankalp?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, getting, sir.
Getting. Okay, fine. Ankita? Rutvik? Janvi? Sampat Kumar? Getting the answers? Any difficulty? Pallavi? Getting the answers, Pallavi?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right.
Yes, sir.
So we got the value of D tan 2. It is 0.6428 into 10 raised to minus 6 coulomb per meter square. Then let us find the d2 according to the Pythagoras theorem. d2 square is equal to dn2 square plus d tan2 square. Write down the equation. d2 square is equal to dn2 square plus d tan2 square. Apply the Pythagoras theorem to this right angle triangle. And then find the value of d2. Tell me the value of d2. We know dn2, we know d tan2. Substitute and find the value of d2. As per the equation, d2 square is equal to dn2 square plus d tan2 square.
Sir, answer is 0.6707 to 10 raised to minus 6.
Correct. d2 is 0.6707 into 10 raised to minus 6 coulomb per meter square. Exactly. Next, we found the value of d2 now. One parameter we found out. What they have asked in the question, find the magnitude of electric flux density in the glass medium. d2 we have found out, and the orientation. Orientation means angle. What is the meaning of orientation? Orientation means angle. So to find the angle theta 2. Now apply cos theta 2. Cos theta 2 is adjacent side. It is dn2 by d2. Cos theta 2 is dn2 by d2. Correct. Then substitute dn2 and d2 and find out the angle theta 2. Find out the angle theta 2. First you'll get cos theta, then take the cos inverse. Take the cos inverse.
Sir, 73.411 degrees.
Very good. 73.41 degrees. Fine. Next, if we want, we can find electric field intensity also. Correct. What they have asked in the question is only electric flux density, but if they ask in the question to find electric field intensity, that also can be found out, because we know the relation between D and E. D is equal to epsilon times E. D is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R into E. As per that equation, the equation for E2 will be here like this: D2 by epsilon naught into epsilon R2. D2 is epsilon into E2, that is epsilon naught into epsilon R2 into E2, or E2 will be D2 by epsilon naught into epsilon R2. D2 is this one, 0.6707 into 10 raised to minus 6. Okay, epsilon naught substitute 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12. Then epsilon R2 value is 4 into 4. This comes out to 18.9377 kilovolt per meter. Just cross verify your answer, students. Value of E2. Done, students? Is it cross verified? Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Answer is correct. Whatever we have obtained there, 18.9377 kilovolt per meter.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm getting this.
Okay. Yes, very nice. Next, we will move on to a concept of capacitance. What is a capacitance? What happens if the capacitors are connected in series? What happens? What is the equivalent value of capacitance if they are connected in parallel? All these fundamentals you have studied in your PU level. Almost similar concepts you will be studying here about the capacitance. Consider two conductors here. This is one M1 conductor, M2 conductor. They are separated by some distance. Electric field, electric flux, electric field is normal to the conductor. Okay, and the medium in which they are present is having the permittivity epsilon. Okay, and the flux is moving from M1 to towards the M2. When these two conductors are separated, okay, when they are placed nearer to each other, and when they are applied with the voltage or the electric field, and what will happen? One conductor will get the positive charge deposited, another conductor will get the negative charge deposited. And they are applied voltage in between. Correct? Therefore, here we are seeing positive charge M1 and negative charge deposited on M2. Now, if so, electric field is normal to conductor surface and electric flux is from M1 to M2. Potential difference between M1 and M2 be V12. Let the potential difference between M1 and M2 be V12. Then the value of capacitance is 1 by 2 by V12. C is equal to 2 by V12. Or in
Your
general,
voice
we
is
can
breaking,
write
sir.
breaking. Okay, 1 minute. Just a minute. Just a minute, friends.
Is it audible now? Is it clear? Sound is clear now,
Yes, sir.
students? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So okay, thank you. So C is equal to Q by V12. C is equal to Q by V12, and in general we are writing it as C is equal to Q by V, where Q is the charge in coulombs, V is the potential difference in volts or the voltage in volts. Then according to Gauss law, we know that Q is closed surface integral d bar dot ds bar, or closed surface integral d is epsilon into E. It is epsilon naught into epsilon r into E bar dot ds bar. That is closed surface integral epsilon E bar dot ds bar. Epsilon is epsilon naught into epsilon r. Okay, this is as per the Gauss law equation for the charge. Then V is work done in moving the unit positive charge from negative to positive surface. What is voltage? How to define voltage? It is the work done in moving 1 unit of charge, 1 unit of positive charge from negative to positive surface. And we have also obtained this equation when we are discussing about the work done. That is V is equal to line integral E bar dot dl bar. V is equal to minus of line integral E bar dot dl bar. That is minus line integral from positive to negative E bar dot dl bar. Okay, minus line integral from negative to positive E bar dot dl bar. That is the equation for the potential V. Okay, then we can write the expression for capacitance. C is equal to Q by V. Here we have got the equation for Q, that is surface integral, closed surface integral, epsilon E bar dot ds bar. Then this is the equation for the voltage, that is minus line integral negative to positive E bar dot dl bar. Substitute this Q and V in this equation for capacitance. C is equal to Q by V, that is closed surface integral epsilon E bar dot ds bar. This divided by minus line integral negative to positive E bar dot dl bar farad. Okay, take this as equation 3. This is the equation for the capacitance. Okay, the general equation for the capacitance is closed surface integral epsilon E bar dot ds bar divided by minus line integral from negative to positive E bar dot dl bar farads. Okay, so like this we have derived the equation for the capacitance between two conductors. That is the equation which is given by the equation number 3 here. Okay, any difficulty up till here, students? Everyone are following? Any difficulty up till here?
Following, sir.
Okay, let us move to the next topic. Capacitors in series. If we look into this diagram, here the different capacitors are connected in series. Yes or no? They are connected in series. If they are connected in series and the voltage applied between A to B, let it be V volts. Let the voltage applied between A to B is V volts. If so, and if the capacitor values are C1, C2 and C3, then because of the voltage applied, because of the polarities of the voltage applied here, positive, negative, the positive charge will be deposited on the upper plate and negative charge will be deposited on the lower plate. Because what happens when you are applying the positive negative charge here, the negative charges here will be attracted towards the positive of the A and the positive charges will be attracted towards the negative of the B. And hence what is happening here? The charges are deposited, positive on one side and negative on the other side. Similarly, this negative charge will attract the positive charge. This negative charge will attract the positive charge, and hence on capacitor C2, positive charge are deposited on the upper surface and negative charge on the lower surface. Similarly for the capacitor C3 also. If this is the condition, then value charge is given by C1 into V1 for the capacitor C1. The basic equation for capacitance is C is equal to Q by V. C is Q by V, or Q is equal to C into V. Hence, Q is equal to C1 V1 for capacitor C1. It is equal to C2 V2 for capacitor C2. It is equal to C3 into V3 for capacitor C3. But here we are knowing that the value of charge Q is deposited is same for all the capacitors. Okay, the charge, because it is connected in series, so charge distribution is in such a way that the charge deposited on all the plates will be uniform or they are equal. when they are connected in series. When they are connected in parallel, it is the sum of the charges deposited on the capacitor plates. But when they are connected in series, the charges are distributed uniformly between the three plates, and so whatever charge is deposited, that will be the same for all the three capacitors. So Q is equal to C1 V1, that is equal to C2 V2, that is equal to C3 V3. This will give rise to the equation V1 is equal to Q by C1, that is we are rearranging for V1. V1 will be equal to Q by C1, V2 will be equal to Q by C2, and V3 is Q by C3. These are the equations for V1, V2 and V3. Next, what we are doing is we are replacing the set of capacitors. These three capacitors, what we have assumed here, what we have considered here, we are replacing them by an equivalent capacitor, C equivalent. Instead of three capacitors, I am connecting only a single capacitance, which is I am calling it as equivalent capacitors of the three capacitors C1, C2 and C3. And I am applying the same voltage. Whatever I have applied here for these three capacitors, that is V, the same voltage I am applying for this equivalent capacitance also. If so, then the C equivalent is given by Q by V, same as that of the charge deposited here on individual capacitances. So it is Q, that is the total charge Q divided by total voltage V. So C is equal to Q by V, or V is equal to Q by C equivalent. V is equal to Q by C equivalent. But we know that V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3, correct? V is equal to total voltage V is the sum of the voltages in series. For parallel, the voltage V, whatever is applied, it will be same for capacitors C1, C2 and C3. They are connected in parallel. But when it is in series, the total voltage will be sum of the voltages V1 plus V2 plus V3. So V is equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. Now substitute total voltage V is Q by C equivalent. V1 is Q by C1. Here we have got it, Q by C1. V2 is Q by C2 and V3 is Q by C3. When I substitute here, I'll get Q by C equivalent is equal to Q by C1 plus Q by C2 plus Q by C3, or Q is common in LHS and RHS, it will get cancelled. You get 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. This is the equation for the capacitors connected in series. For the resistors connected in series, what will be the equation? R is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3, or R equivalent is equal to R1 plus R2 plus R3. But if they are connected in parallel, the capacitors, then the equivalent capacitance is as good as the parallel equation for the resistors. 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. So using these equations, we will be able to find values of V1 and V3 from value of Q. I am generalizing in series. 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 and so on 1 by C1. Is this derivation clear here, students? Any difficulty here in this derivation? Any difficulty? If you are having any questions, you can ask.
Understood, sir.
Okay, we'll move ahead. Next one, capacitors in parallel. I have connected the capacitors in parallel here. Same capacity and C3. Total voltage is V. Okay. The charge deposited will be different because they are now connected in parallel, and the V will be same, voltage will be same, but charge will be different. In series, what happens? Total charge will be distributed equally among the three capacitors when they are in series. But here the total charge will be sum of the charges deposited on individual capacitors. This total charge Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Okay. The total charge stored by parallel bank of capacitors Q is given by Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Then what is Q1? Q1 is C is equal to Q by V, or Q is equal to C into V. So Q1 will be C1 V, Q2 will be C2 V. For parallel capacitors, the voltage will be constant. It will be same across the parallel branches. Yes. So Q2 will be C2 into V, Q3 is equal to 3 into V. I have connected the voltage V. and the C1 voltage across C1 is same as the input voltage V. Voltage across C2 is same as the input voltage V. Voltage across C3 is also same as the input voltage V because they are connected in parallel. And we know that whenever the capacitors are connected in parallel, whatever is the input voltage, that will be the same for all the capacitors. Then, as per the equation, Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Q1 is C1V, Q2 is C2V, Q3 is C3V. Substitute. So the equation will be reduced to C1 plus C2 plus C3 into V, because V is common. Now what I am doing, I am replacing all these capacitors by equivalent capacitance C equivalent. Capacitance C equivalent. Let the charge be Q and the total voltage be V. Total voltage be V. If this is the condition, then Q is equal to C equivalent into V. Q is equal to C equivalent into V. Let us compare equations 1 and 2. This is our second equation. Q is C equivalent into V. Our first equation is here. Q is C1 plus C2 plus C3 into V. So Q is C1 plus C2 plus C3 and Q is also equal to C equivalent into V. Therefore, I can write the equation C equivalent as C1 plus C2 plus C3. Because what we are having, Q is C1 plus C2 plus C3 into V. Q is also equal to C equivalent into V. So Q and Q cancels, V and V cancels. What remains? C equivalent is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. That is, Q is equal to C1V plus C2V plus C3V. The same equation what we have got here. C1V plus C2V plus C3V. If we know the values of V, then we can find the value of Q1, Q2 and Q3, provided we know the value of the applied input voltage. Yes or no? Now for the n capacitors in parallel, what is the general equation that we can write here? Equivalent capacitance C1 plus C2 plus C3 and so on up till Cn. That means if the capacitors are connected in parallel, equivalent capacitance is given by C1 plus C2 plus C3 and so on up till Cn. Okay. For the capacitors in series, what is the equivalent capacitance? 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 and so on up till 1 by Cn. For capacitors connected in parallel, the equivalent capacitance is equal to C1 plus C2 and so on up till Cn. Okay. So any difficulty up till here, students? Is it clear? Any difficulty up till here? I hope everyone are following. Other students, any difficulty, any problem in understanding? Shall we proceed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next is the concept of parallel plate capacitor. Parallel plate capacitor. This equation you already studied in your PU level again. The C is equal to epsilon A by D. We are deriving the same equation here. Concept is different, but the final equation remains the same. That is, C is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by D. Let us see how to derive that equation. Here we are considering one plate, plate 1, with the charge deposit as positive, and its density is, surface charge density is rho s, is plus rho s, right? Then another plate, plate 2, with the negative charge deposited on this conductor or on this plate, and let its surface charge density be minus rho s. Minus rho s. This is plus rho s for plate 1 and it is minus rho s for plate 2, because plate 1 and plate 2 they have equal magnitude but their polarities are different. Polarities of surface charge density is different for plate 1 and plate 2. They are opposite. Plate 1 has surface charge density of plus rho s. Plate 2 will be having surface charge density of minus rho s. Then the electric field intensity, let it be E bar. It is perpendicular to the plates here. Plate 1 and plate 2, electric field intensity is perpendicular to the plates. The distance between the plates is small d, and plate 1 is xy plane. That is, if you consider the room where you are sitting, the floor of your room is xy plane, zero plane. Another plane we are considering at some distance along z axis, that is the corner of your room at some distance d. This is for plate 2. Okay. So this is placed parallel to XY plane. Plate 1 is there on the floor. It is on the XY plane, that is z equal to 0 plane, and plate 2 is parallel to the XY plane. Plate 2 is parallel to the XY plane. This is, suppose if it is plate 1 lying on the XY axis or z equal to 0 plane, then plate will be parallel to the XY or parallel to the first plate, plate 1. Okay. Then permittivity between the two plates is epsilon. Let A be the area of cross section of the plates. Let the cross sectional area of the plates be A. If so, then the charge is given by the equation. We know the equation for surface charge density, rho s. Is charge by, what is the equation for surface charge density, students? Rho s. How to define surface charge density?
So charge per length, unit length.
No, that is the line charge density. Area, surface charge density. Surface means it will be area in terms of area. If they are asking line charge density, then it is correct, whatever you have told. This charge per unit length. But when it is surface charge density, it is charge by area. Surface charge. Surface means area. Right? So it is charge divided by area is surface charge density, rho s. Okay. So rho s is charge Q divided by A, or Q is equal to rho s into A. See, rho s is charge by area, that is Q by A, or Q is equal to rho s into A coulombs. Let us assume plate 1 to be infinite sheet of charge. We are assuming that plate 1, let it be infinite sheet of charge. It is extended infinitely on the XY plane. So it is infinite sheet of charge on the XY plane. Okay. Then, if it is an infinite sheet of charge, you already derived the equation for electric field intensity due to infinite sheet of charge. Okay. And that equation that we have got, E is equal to rho s by 2 epsilon into A n bar. E1 is equal to rho s by 2 into A n bar. Here rho s by 2 epsilon, A n is AZ vector. It is perpendicular to the Z axis. The plate 1 and plate 2, they are perpendicular to Z axis. So the normal unit vector will be AZ to the plate 1, okay, and to the plate 2. So here rho s by 2 epsilon, A n bar is AZ bar, it is perpendicular. I am getting the equation E1 bar is equal to rho s by 2 epsilon AZ bar volt per meter. But for the plate 2, E2 bar is equal to, this is for plate 1, the bottom plate here. Fine. Now for the top plate, for the upper plate, it will be same, but the polarity will be minus. Okay, let us check how, whether it is plus or minus. Minus rho s minus z. Z will also be minus, rho s will also be minus. Then finally we'll get plus. Let us see that. Well, for plate 2, E2 bar is equal to rho s will be minus rho s because its charge density is minus rho s, negative charge, minus rho s by 2 epsilon into A n bar. It is minus rho s by 2 epsilon A n bar minus AZ bar. Because here we have to consider the from AZ bar the negative direction, because it is from negative to positive. Previously it was from positive to negative. If you consider any point in between here in the electric field, okay, so rho s will be from the bottom towards the top, so it is plus z. But if we consider at that point with respect to upper plate minus, we from upper plate towards the that point, so it will be minus z, minus AZ bar, the negative z axis, correct? Hence I am considering here minus AZ bar volt per meter. E1 bar is rho s by 2 epsilon AZ bar volt per meter. E2 bar is minus rho s by 2 epsilon minus AZ bar volt per meter. Finally, when we multiply minus into minus, it will be plus only. Therefore, E2 bar also will get same as that of E1 bar, that is rho s AZ bar by 2 epsilon volt per meter. Next, if I consider any point, as I told, in between the plates, then the total electric field at that point, if I am considering any point in between the field, midpoint, then the total electric field intensity at that midpoint will be equal to the summation of the electric field intensities according to the superposition principle. That is E1 bar, E bar is equal to E1 bar plus E2 bar. E bar is E1 bar plus E2 bar. E1 bar is rho s by 2 epsilon Az bar, and E2 bar is minus, it is plus, it is also plus rho s by 2 epsilon Az bar. So rho s by 2 epsilon Az bar plus rho s by 2 epsilon Az bar, it will be how much? 2 times rho s by 2 epsilon Az bar. 2 and 2 will cancel. So what will remain? Rho s Az bar by epsilon volt per meter. That will be the total electric field intensity at the midpoint in between the two plates. In between the two plates, the total or the net electric field intensity. Okay. Next equation, the potential difference is given by the equation V is equal to minus negative integral minus 2 plus minus negative integral minus 2 plus E bar dot dl bar. E bar dot dl bar. Potential is given by the equation V is equal to minus negative integral minus 2 plus E bar dot dl bar. This equation we discussed when discussing about the potential difference. Potential difference, when we are discussing that topic, there we have obtained this equation V is minus line integral or minus plus integral E bar dot dl bar. So it is minus of upper integral upper to lower, minus to plus, minus upper to low, minus to plus or upper to lower integral minus, outside is minus E bar. How much we have got? E bar rho s Az bar by epsilon, rho s Az bar by epsilon. Should that rho s Az bar by epsilon dot dl bar. But in Cartesian system, what is dl bar, friends? What is dl bar in Cartesian system? We have discussed many times the dl bar equation in Cartesian. Differential length is this equation, is it? Dx ax bar plus dy ay bar plus dz az bar. Remember this will be useful in many of the derivations. dl bar is dx ax bar plus dy ay bar plus dz az bar. Substitute this dl bar in the application. V will be minus integral z equal to d to z equal to 0, minus line integral z equal to 0. That is z equal to d. For upper plate distance is d. For the lower plate distance is 0. For the plate distance is d. Lower plate is 0. From 0 to d or 0. So plate 0. Take plate to distance is d. Correct? So V is equal to minus integral z equal to d to 0 rho s by epsilon Az bar dot dl bar is dx ax bar plus dy ay bar plus dz az bar. It is minus integral z equal to d to 0 rho s by epsilon Az bar dot az bar is 1. Okay, remaining compounds will not get here because it is only in terms of Az bar. Am I right? It is only in terms of Az bar. So Az bar is 1 and we get only Z. So it is minus equal to d to 0 rho by epsilon dz. It is minus rho s by epsilon integral of dz is z from d to 0. So it is minus rho s by epsilon 0 minus d, it is minus d. So minus rho s into d will be plus rho s into d. Hence we will get the equation for Vs is equal to rho s into d by epsilon volts. Okay. So this is the equation for the voltage. We want the equation for capacitance. Capacitance is the ratio by V. Right? C is equal to Q by V. We know Q. We have obtained the equation for Q. That Q is rho s into A. Q is rho s into A. So take this for Q. Substitute here for Q, that is rho s into A. Then V equation, whatever we got just now, that is rho s d by epsilon. Substitute that. If we simplify this, rho s A divided by rho s d by epsilon, that will be rho s A cross multiplied into epsilon by rho s d. Rho s and rho s will cancel. We get A epsilon by d or epsilon A by d farad. What is epsilon, students? It is epsilon naught into epsilon. So C will be equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by d farad. Okay. This is the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor. Capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor. Okay. So is it not the same equation, students, that you already studied? equal to epsilon A by D. You studied this, is it not? Not into epsilon R into A by D. You have obtained it, but here will be concept will be different. We will be obtaining the equation in terms of the electromagnetic field theory. The electric field theory concepts and deriving the same the of the plate as C is equal to
So why is
epsilon
it
A by
breaking, sir?
D or C is equal to epsilon R into epsilon. Why is this breaking? Something. 1 minute, just. Is it okay now, students? Is it okay now? Or still it is breaking? Students,
Okay, sir.
are you able to hear me? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hence, is equal to epsilon into epsilon R into A by D. Any difficulty here, students, in this derivation of parallel plate capacitor? So this may be an examination to derive the equation for the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor. Okay. To derive the equation for the capacitance, derive the equation for the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor. So you have to draw the figure, and then with these steps, you should actually arrive at the equation equal to epsilon A by D is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by D for x. Okay. Any problem in understanding here? All of you understood this? All of you understood this derivation? Yes. All of you understood this derivation? Students,
Yes, sir.
is it
Understood,
clear
sir.
derivation? Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll proceed
Understood,
further.
sir.
We'll solve. We'll solve an example on this topic. This example, the capacitance of the current found by the metal sheets area by electric 2 millimeter thick is 2 minus 4 microfarad. A potential of 20 kilovolt is applied to it. Find electric flux plus one potential gradient in kilovolt per meter. Third, conductivity of material, and fourth on electric flux density. Note down the question, then we'll solve it step by step. Noted, students?
So 1 minute.
Okay.
Noted down, sir.
Okay. Read the question. The capacitance of the condenser, that is the capacitor of the capacitor or the condenser, both are one and the same. Capacitance of the capacitor formed by the two parallel plate metal sheets. So it is a parallel metal sheet capacitor, parallel plate capacitor, and the area of each plate is 100 centimeters square. Area of each metal sheet is parallel plates is 100 centimeters square, and these parallel plates are separated by a distance of 2 millimeter thickness. They are separated by a distance of 2 millimeter. Okay, and the capacitance is 2 into 10 raised to minus 4 microfarad. They have given the value of parallel plate capacitor as 2 into 10 raised to minus 4 microfarad. Next, they have also given the value of potential. Potential of 20 kilovolt is applied to it. Potential of 20 kilovolt is applied to the capacitor. If so, find electric flux. First one. Second, potential gradient, that is, it is the voltage per unit distance. That is what we call as potential gradient. Third, relative permittivity of the material, that is epsilon r. And fourth one, electric flux density, that is D value. So you are supposed to find phi, that is electric flux, potential gradient, that is voltage per unit distance, potential per unit distance, then relative permittivity epsilon r, and finally electric flux density D. Let us write the given details first. A is 100 centimeter square area of the plates, then distance between the plates is 2 millimeter, capacitance is 2 into 10 to minus 4 microfarad, and voltage applied is 20 kilovolts. Then as per the fundamental equation, we know that C is equal to Q by V. Substitute the value of C and also substitute the value of V and calculate the value of Q. C is equal to Q by V. They have given the value of C, they have given V, find out the value of Q. Do that and tell me the answer, value of Q.
Sir, Q is equal to 4, sir.
Q is 4 microcoulomb, correct? It is 4 microcoulomb, am I right? Okay. Now we know that flux and charge both are one and the same. We have discussed this concept, correct? Flux and charge are both are one and the same. So flux is equal to Q, that is equal to 4 microcoulomb. Flux is same as the charge, and hence I can write flux is equal to charge, that is equal to 4 microcoulomb. Okay, we have found out the value of flux, part A. Next, we have to find out potential gradient. It is voltage per unit distance. E is equal to V by D. E is V by D. That is, they have given the voltage applied, that is 20 kilovolts, 20 to 10 raised to 3, and distance is 2 millimeter. This divided by 2 millimeter. Find out the value of potential gradient. V is 20 kilovolt divided by 2 millimeters. How much you will get? Value of potential gradient.
Sir, 1 kilo ohms.
No. Potential gradient. It is V by D. Potential divided by distance. Look at the formula. So how to decide the units? You have to decide the units based on the formula. What is the formula? V is for potential. What is volts? This divided by D. D is distance, 2 millimeter. Yes or no? So it will be
Sir,
volt per.
by mistakenly.
It's okay. Volt per meter or volt per millimeter or volt per centimeter you have to express. Okay. It is V by D, 20 to 10 raised to 3 divided by 2 into 10 raised to minus 3. That is millimeter converted into meters. So if you simplify this, 2 ones are 2 tens are. 10 into 10 raised to 3 is 10 raised to 4. 10 raised to 4, if you take 10 raised to minus 3 up, it will be 10 raised to 7. Okay, that is, you will get around how much? 10,000 kilovolts per 10,000 kilovolts per meter. Am I right? Is it correct? 10,000 kilovolts per, because here it is 4 zeros. 4 zeros. 10,000 means 4 zeros. 10 raised to 4 into 10 raised to 3. That is 10 raised to 7. So it is same. 10,000 kilovolts per meter. Suppose if you want to find out in terms of centimeter, then how to find out? 10,000 kilovolt divided by 10,000 kilovolt divided by, okay, centimeter. 1 meter is equal to how much centimeters? Or how many centimeter equal to 1 meter?
100 centimeter.
100 centimeter equal to 1 meter. So numerator will remain the same. That divided by 1 meter. Instead of 1 meter, just substitute 100 centimeter. Okay, 1 meter is 100 centimeter, or 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter. So if you simplify that, you will get 100 kilovolts per centimeter. Actually, they have asked in terms of kilovolts per meter. Suppose if they ask kilovolts per centimeter also, you should be in a position to do that and write the answer in terms of kilovolt per centimeter. Okay. This is the second part of the problem, that is potential gradient. Next, we will see the third part of the problem, that is relative permittivity of the material. We know the basic equation, C is equal to epsilon A by D. C is equal to epsilon A by D. C is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by D. Correct? Now substitute the value of C. Substitute the value of epsilon naught. Substitute the value of A and then value of D and find the value of epsilon R. What is the formula? C is equal to the same formula, this one. Epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by D. Here, last equation. C is equal to epsilon naught into epsilon R into A by D. Substitute all the values except epsilon R will remain. Then find the value of epsilon R from this equation. Do that, students. We know the value of capacitance. We know epsilon naught. How much is epsilon naught? 8.854 into 10 raised to minus 12. Then we know the area of the plates. It is given. Distance between the plates is also given. Substitute and calculate the value of epsilon R. Tell me how much you will get epsilon R. Value of epsilon R. So relative permittivity, epsilon R. What is the answer?
Sir, 4.427.
Okay, fine, no problem. We get around 4.5. It's okay, 4.4 something. We consider 3 decimal points or 4 decimal points and the answer will be accurate. Okay, you will get around 4.5177 epsilon R value. 4.2, 4.25, that is okay. It's a very nearing value. That is fine. Okay. Other students, are you getting the answers here? Other students, Prathamesh?
Yes, sir. Getting, sir.
Getting? Okay, good. So epsilon r is 4.5177 you'll get. Next, what is remaining? Last part of the problem is electric flux density. D is remaining. Okay. Let us use the relation between D and rho s. So D is equal to rho s, that is Q by A. Surface charge density is same as the electric flux density. What is electric flux density defined as? It is charge by area. Electric flux density. Flux is same as the charge, correct? Electric flux density is the flux per unit area, and the surface charge density is charge per unit area. But flux and charge are same, correct? Flux and charge are same, they are identical, and hence I can write D is equal to rho s is equal to Q by A, because D is equal to phi by A, that is flux by area. Rho s is equal to Q by A, but phi is equal to Q. Phi is equal to Q, and hence I can write the equation D is equal to rho s is equal to Q by A. Now substitute. Q value is 4 into 10 raised to minus 6. That divided by area is 100 into 10 raised to minus 4. If you simplify this, the answer will be 4 into 10 raised to minus 4 coulomb per meter square. Just cross verify our answer, students. 4 into 10 raised to minus 4 coulomb per meter square, the value of electric flux density. Are you getting the answer here? The same answer?
Yes, sir. Same answers.
Okay, okay, right. Let us take one more example. Note down this example, students. The electric field intensity in polystyrene, that is epsilon r is equal to 2.55, filling the space between the plates of a parallel plate capacitor is 10 kilovolt per meter. The distance between the plates is 1.5 millimeter. Calculate first one, the surface charge density of free charge on the plates. Second, the potential difference between the plates. Try to solve this example, students, on your own. Try to solve this on your own. It's hardly 3 or 4 steps problem. First, read the question. Try to understand the question first. That is very important. And then write the given data and then go on solving the numerical with the available equations. That is how you will have to proceed. If someone is getting the answers, please let me know.
Sir, answer for surface charge and 6, sir.
Yes.
0.2 microcoulomb per meter square.
Very good. 0.2 microcoulomb per meter square. Very nice. What about rho s? Rho s. Rho s is same as that of the electric flux density, correct? Rho s and d are
Yes,
same.
sir,
Then now we
same, sir.
discuss the point here. Same it is it not? So rho s is equal to d. Okay, we have found out the first part of the numerical. Fine. What about the second part? Sir, and that is they have asked the potential difference between the plates. How will you find out that? Which formula you will use? Just think and tell me.
So E is equal to V upon D.
Yes, E is equal to V by D. We have used many times, is it not, that formula? In the previous equation we have used E is equal to V by D, potential gradient, correct? So if we use that equation E is equal to V by D, then substitute the value of electric field intensity, right? And then the value of distance. Electric field intensity is given 10 volts per meter, 10 into 10 raised to 3 volt per meter. Okay, and D, distance between the plates, it is how much? 1.5 millimeter. So what is the conversion between millimeter to meters? Millimeter to meter. What is the conversion? How do you convert millimeter to meter? 1.5 millimeter, how do you convert it into meters? 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 meter. 1 millimeter is 10 raised to minus 3 meters. Remember this. 1 millimeter is 10 raised to minus 3 meters. Therefore, 1.5 millimeter is equal to 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 3. Okay. Then simplify this and find the value of voltage. So we'll get V is equal to 15 volts. Just cross verify your answers. Voltage value will get 15 volts. Check and tell me.
Yes, sir. Same, sir.
Correct? Same answer. Very nice. Other students, are you getting? Other students? What about others? Kirti?
Yes, sir, it is same, sir.
Same. Good. Kirti Patil? Kirti? Prajwal Gowda?
Yes, sir.
Prajwal Gowda? Getting Kirti?
Yes, sir.
Answers?
Got.
Okay, fine. Okay, good. Prajwal Gowda? Prajwal Gowda? Prajwal Mali? Prajwal?
Yes, sir.
Getting Prajwal?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Answers? Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, we'll proceed ahead. Next is composite parallel plate capacitor. Here we are considering combination of capacitors, combination of plates. That is, here we are considered one plate upper side, another plate at the bottom side. And there are two dielectric media here. One is epsilon 1 and another one is epsilon 2. And this we are considering the in between as the dielectrics boundary between the two dielectrics. Between the dielectric with the permittivity epsilon 1 and epsilon 2, this is the boundary, okay, which is at a distance of d1 for epsilon 1 and it is a distance of d2 for the permittivity of the media epsilon 2. Okay, and area of the plates is A. That is same for both. Area of the plates is A. Okay, distance from upper plate to lower plate is D. This is the distance between the upper plate and the bottom plate. Right. Space between the plates is filled with more than one dielectric. That is why it is called as composite parallel plate capacitor. Composite parallel plate capacitor, the meaning of this is the space in between the plates is filled with more than one dielectric. There will be not only one dielectric medium, but there will be more than one dielectric medium. Such of the parallel plate capacitors, we call them as composite parallel plate capacitors. Consider such composite capacitor with space filled with the two separate dielectrics for distances d1 and d2. Dielectric interface is parallel to the conducting plates. This dielectric interface, that is the boundary in between the two dielectric media, it is parallel to the conducting plates. Yes or no? it is horizontal. This is plate 1, upper one is in between, there is a boundary, plate 1, plate 2 in between, and below one is the plate 2. Upper one is plate 1, okay, bottom one is plate 2, and this is in between is the boundary between the two plates. Okay. Let Q be the charge on each plate. E1 is the field intensity in region D1, and let E2 be the field intensity in region D2. Q is the charge on each of the plates. E1 is the electric field intensity in media 1. E2 is the electric field intensity in dielectric media 2. Then according to the equation for potential gradient, we know that the potential gradient is given by E is equal to V by D. E is equal to V by D, or V is equal to E into D. Hence I can write the equation V1 is equal to E1 D1 for the dielectric medium 1. V1 is equal to E1, that is field intensity in region D1, multiplied by distance D1. This distance multiplied by distance D1. Okay. Then similarly, V2 is E2 into D2. V2 is E2 into D2. Then according to the superposition principle, the total voltage is given by the sum of these two voltages at the boundary. So it is V1 plus V2, V1 plus V2. V1 is E1 D1, V2 is E2 D2. Add these two. That will give the total voltage at the boundary according to the principle of superposition. At dielectric interface, the normal components of flux densities are equal. At the dielectric interface, the normal components of the flux densities, that is dN1 and dN2, they are equal. We have studied this concept, correct? If there is a normal component between the dielectric media, the normal component, so dN1 will be same as dN2. Suppose if this is dN1, the above the boundary is dN2, then the normal components are same. They don't get refracted, correct? dN1 will be equal to dN2. dN1 is epsilon 1 into E1 and D2 is epsilon 2 into E2. I have written in terms of D and E, okay, using epsilon for each of the dielectric medium. Substituting in equation 1, let us substitute these equations for D1 and D2 in equation 1. What we get? V is equal to E1 into D1. E1, what is E1, students? It is D1 by epsilon 1. I am rearranging the equation for D1 is equal to epsilon 1 E1 for E1 as D1 by epsilon 1. Substitute here. E1 is D1 by epsilon 1 into D1 plus E2 is D2 by epsilon 2. D2 by epsilon 2 into D2. Yes. Magnitude of surface charge is same on each of the plates. Surface charge remains the same on each of the plates because area is same. Distance is D1, D2. Area is same, and hence the surface charge is same because of the same area of the two plates. Right. So rho s is equal to D1 equal to D2. Rho s is the surface charge density, that is equal to flux density. Just now we solved an example, okay, where we used rho s is equal to D. So it is rho s is equal to D1 is equal to D2. That is surface charge density is equal to the electric flux density because of the first plate, and it is equal to the electric flux density of the second plate. Substituting this in equation 2. So if we substitute rho s is equal to D1 is equal to D2 in equation 2, then what we get? V is equal to D1 is what, students? Rho s. So it is rho s D1 by epsilon 1. D2 is also equal to rho s. So it is rho s D2 by epsilon 2. That is the next equation. V is equal to rho s D1 by epsilon 1 plus rho s D2 by epsilon 2. Rho s is common. I have taken it outside. It will be rho s into D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2. So C is equal to Q by V. C is Q by V. We know that Q is in the numerator, and V we are substituting for the denominator, that is rho s into D1 by epsilon plus D2 by epsilon 2. Next we are substituting for Q. We know that Q is equal to rho s into A. Rho s is surface charge density, that is charge by area, charge per unit area. So Q will be equal to rho s into A. So substitute for Q here. So C will be equal to rho s into A divided by rho s into D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2. Rho s and rho s will cancel. So A divided by D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2, or C is equal to 1 divided by D1 by, I am taking A to the denominator. Okay. So it goes to the numerator, will go to the denominator of the denominator. So it will be 1 by A. So it will be 1 divided by 1 upon A into D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2. That will be 1 divided by D1 by epsilon 1 A plus D2 by epsilon 2 A. This will further be equal to 1 divided by 1 upon C1 plus 1 by C2. Because C1 is epsilon 1 A by D, C2 is epsilon 2 A by D2. Hence, instead of D1 by epsilon 1 A, I'll write it as 1 by C1. It is a reciprocal. 1 by C1 is what? D1 by epsilon 1 A. 1 by C2 is D2 by epsilon 2 A. So it will be 1 divided by 1 upon C1 plus 1 upon C2. Hence, it is generalized that for the capacitor with the N dielectrics, right, the total capacitance is given by A divided by D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2 plus D3 by epsilon 3 plus so on up till Dn by epsilon n. Okay. So whatever equation we have got here, D1, if I take this 1 by A outside again, so it will go to the numerator. Correct? Or you multiply both numerator and denominator by A. So if you multiply numerator by A, in the numerator we get A, and in the denominator A and this denominator A will get cancelled. Yes. So we get 1 upon D1 by A divided by D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2 plus D3 by epsilon 3 and so on up till Dn by epsilon n. This is the generalized equation for the capacitor with N dielectrics. Okay. When the dielectric media is parallel to the conducting plates, remember, this is the equation for the composite parallel plate capacitor. When the interface, that is a boundary, it is parallel to the conducting plates. This is plate 1. In between there is a dielectric boundary, and below is the plate 2. Yes. So when this is the condition, then the equation for the composite parallel plate capacitor is this. That is C is equal to A divided by D1 by epsilon 1 plus D2 by epsilon 2 and so on up till Dn by epsilon n. Is it clear here, students, this derivation? Is this derivation understood?
Understood, sir.
If you are having, okay, fine. Any problem in understanding this derivation? Any problem in understanding this derivation? Any questions you all can ask? Yes, students, any questions here on this derivation? So in the next class, I'll be discussing with dielectric boundary normal to the plates. What we discussed just now was parallel plate capacitor, composite parallel plate capacitor with the dielectric boundary parallel to the conducting plates. The next is the derivation on dielectric boundary, parallel plate, composite parallel plate capacitor derivation with the dielectric boundary normal to the conducting plates. That we'll see in the next class. Then we'll discuss about energy stored in a capacitor, then energy density equation, how to derive the energy density equation. So that along with that, and we'll solve example on that is energy density, energy stored in the capacitor. So that will be completion of module 2. That will complete module 2. Okay. So in today's class, we have discussed starting with an example on the boundary condition between two dielectric media. Remember, the boundary condition between two dielectric media. Based on that, we have solved an example, and then we have studied the concept of capacitance. What is the capacitance? Okay, the equation for capacitance, that is C is equal to Q by V, that is closed surface integral epsilon E bar dot ds bar divided by minus line integral from negative to positive E bar dot dl bar farads. Then we have derived also the equation for the capacitors connected in series, and the equivalent capacitance given for capacitors connected in series is 1 upon C equivalent is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 upon C2 plus so on up till 1 by Cn. In capacitors connected in parallel, the equation is C equivalent is equal to C1 plus C2 plus so on up till Cn. Then we have also taken up the parallel plate capacitor. Considering this figure, we have derived the equation for the capacitance, the basic equation C is equal to epsilon A by D, or C is equal to epsilon naught epsilon R A by D farads. Then we have solved two examples on the capacitance of the parallel plate capacitor to find the flux, potential gradient, permittivity, electric flux density, right? And then surface charge density, potential. We have discussed two examples on the capacitance equation, based on the capacitance equation. And then later we took up the topic on composite parallel plate capacitor. The meaning of composite parallel plate capacitor is it is a normal capacitor, but in between there are two dielectric mediums. It's a normal capacitor with two dielectric mediums in between. So such capacitor we call it as composite parallel plate capacitor. Okay, so that's all for today's class, students. And module 1 and module 2 are lengthy modules. Okay, that's why it will take some time, but the remaining 3 modules we can easily pick up. Okay, only module 1 and module 2 are lengthy in this subject. Okay, so any questions here, students? Anything you all want to ask? Any difficulties? By today evening I'll send you all the assignment. Okay, any difficulties, students? Students, any difficulty here? Any problem in understanding? Samarth Gavanekar, Lohit, Dodmani, Lohit.
Yes, sir.
Any problem in understanding, Lohit, today's topics?
Understand, sir.
Understanding? Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shweta Paushe. Shweta.
Yes, sir.
Any difficulty in today's discussion topic, Shweta?
No, sir.
Anything not understood? All are clear?
Yes, sir.
All topics? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Tejas?
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to discuss? Any questions? Tejas?
No, sir.
So all the concepts are clear, whatever we discussed today? Numericals?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Clear, sir.
Okay, students. Okay, students, fine then. We'll continue with the next topics. And the next, probably in the next class or so, we'll be completing the module 2. And then we'll take up the module number 3. Okay. Thank you, students.